Hey guys, so I'm here with baby Clara. She is the Levi sculpt, reborn by Miss Melissa George, and she is, I think, a fan favorite and also my favorite baby. If I'm honest with myself, as I look across my whole Reborn collection, not counting my silicones, of course, but I love her so much. And she's been in this outfit for a little while, so I thought I would go ahead and shoot a video and change her into this really, really cute sleeper by Caccioli is the brand. And I thought I'd go ahead and change her into this and talk a little bit about the topic for today's video is, or tonight's video rather, is how do you work, advice for working with artists and how to be a good buyer and a buyer that, the artist enjoys working with. So I thought this would be a good topic to talk about. And, there's this definitely, there could be a whole nother video. And I think this video series has been done in the past, talking about, I think it might have been phrased in one of the other videos, something like things that we do as buyers slash collectors that annoy artists and things that artists do that annoy buyers or something like that. So, but anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and change her. So I guess there are kind of two different answers, I guess, depending on whether you're doing a custom and whether you're just buying a baby that's pre-made on like a site like eBay. So let's talk about that because that's kind of the more straightforward one. So if you're, the reason I decided to shoot this video is more around, working with the artist directly on maybe more of a custom baby because, when you buy a baby off of eBay, it's a fairly quick transaction. Really, I think the main criteria for being a good buyer, in that instance is really paying promptly, communicating well, and, if there are any issues, I think it's just really communication and prompt payment would be the main thing. And as a seller, it would really be also communication and prompt shipping. So those would be kind of the main things. And of course, as a buyer, we'd also evaluate the box opening experience and things like that. I would say that whether you're buying a baby as a custom or as a pre-made baby off of eBay, it's interesting. There's a thread on this topic on the Bountiful Baby forum about how a lot of and that forum is really mostly artists, talking, and they talked about how the person who posted said, hey, is it unusual, when buyers don't write, any sort of note to let you know that the baby arrived safely. And I thought, that is really weird because I've always let my sellers know, oh, hey, I got the baby. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Or, whatever my feedback was. I just felt like that was sort of a common courtesy because as a seller, there's always some anxiety around, oh my gosh, did the baby make it? Did it arrive? So I think as a buyer, it's sort of just a courtesy thing, I would think, to just let the seller know. So, and, if you're a collector, it really does mean a lot to the seller if you just shoot them a quick email or, note through eBay or whatever, just to let them know that the baby did arrive safely. And I also, especially if it was a custom, I do like to, I do try to give my feedback. Usually if it's a custom, you're going to get work in process pictures or final pictures before you receive the baby. I like to give, feedback to, to the seller when I get those pictures and, kind of let them know, oh my gosh, the baby looks beautiful and, what my reaction was when I received it. And now that I have a YouTube channel, I've also, I did also share with the artists the box opening videos and I think that was really appreciated too. So those of you who do have YouTube channels, just something to keep in mind. I think sellers, did I do this wrong? Oh wait, no, I think I did it right. Yeah, sellers do really appreciate that. So something something about, okay, something is not matching up. Guys, hold on. Sometimes these ones with a lot of snaps, I'm wondering if it goes like this. Oh yeah, maybe it goes like this and then clips here. Okay. Wow, that was very unusual. So yeah, and then when working with an artist on a custom, and mind you, I've only worked with two artists. Well, that's not true. I worked with Melissa, George, and Emily's Dream Dolls for my 3 custom reborns. And I've also worked with, Andrea Arcello on the Portrait Baby as well. So, I think it's, and all of the communications were via email, or with Emily, we messaged each other on Facebook. So I think that, oh my gosh, she looks adorable in this. This is so cute. It's like slightly baggy on her, but I love that. I just, oh, it's like, look at her. She's so cute. Let me just kind of see how she looks there on camera. Oh, she's looking really cute. So yeah, I think it's really important when you're doing a custom to just be really communicative on, what you're looking for the custom to look like. And so, if you want, like stork bites, or if you want a certain birthmark, or, kind of general coloring, skin tone, send pictures, to the artist on, like with Melissa, we've been, we have a custom, she's working on a custom for me right now, which I'm really excited about, and I won't spoil it, but you'll obviously see her when she's all done. She's still in process. But we've been trading pictures. Like, I've been sending her pictures on the kind of hair that I'm going for, and that sort of thing. And I, and then just talking about like coloring, and with Clara, it was, there wasn't as much communication because she had literally just made another Levi previous to when she made Clara, which was the one I actually originally tried to purchase on eBay, and then there was a payment glitch with PayPal where they wouldn't release the funds for 30 days and all this craziness, and she ended up having to sell the baby to someone else. But then she, very kindly offered me a spot to do a custom, and she said, hey, I have another Levi kit, I can make you one very similar to that one. So, and she did, and she obviously turned out gorgeous. And so for that one, we didn't really communicate that much because she, already had made a similar baby. But with Maddie, for sure, we definitely communicated, back and forth, talk a little bit about, sort of skin tone and color, what color hair, and, that sort of thing. And I actually don't give that, too much specific direction personally, because I like to kind of give some general parameters to the artist and then just sort of let them do their thing. So, with Indy, I think I mainly just told Emily I really liked her Cami Rose that she had reborn in the past. So I was really looking for that sort of soft, delicate, sort of newborn look. And then I wanted Indy to have dark hair. And so anyway, so those are kind of the main things that I shared. But I think when you do a custom, the risk is always that you haven't, that you don't get to see the baby in advance before you purchase it. So, you just, you have to sort of, it's a little bit of a leap of faith in some respects. And, the artist has no kind of guarantee of how the baby's going to look. So I would really do a custom with an artist where, you've seen pictures of their previous work and you really like most of the babies that they've made in the past. And, there's a consistency in the quality, you like their style of painting, and, you would be very happy with owning, any number of babies that they had reborn in the past. And so that's how I would kind of choose a custom artist. And then, and I think it's important to communicate, on a regular basis. I try not to bug my artists too much, but every so often I might check in and, send an email and say, hey, how's it going? And, no pressure, would love to see, if there are any progress pictures, and yeah, I mean, and for me, the reason I don't like to pressure or rush the artist, and thankfully I've never had to get a baby by a certain deadline or else, um, the reason being is it is a creative process, and sometimes you can't rush a creative process. So if the artist is just not feeling it that day in terms of painting a specific stage of that baby, I'd rather they wait until they feel a little bit more inspired, rather than do a rush job and maybe not do their best work. So, but that's just me. And and I know as collectors sometimes people do get very frustrated when the baby is taking much longer than they originally anticipated. And yeah, and I guess for me, I have, I'm probably, I may be one of the more patient, on the more patient scale in terms of buyers. But but for example, with Emery May and Melina by Andrea Arcello, my daughter's portrait sculpts, those two babies, I had contacted Andrea. The first email exchange that we had about the topic was, I think it was in February or so of 2012, and then the baby was actually, Emery May was actually released, like her edition was released in 2015, and then I believe Melina was released in like maybe the year after, like 20, maybe it was just last year, 2016. Okay. So yeah, so basically, it was like 3 year wait, essentially. That is unusual. I don't think it normally takes that long, but Andrea had a lot of projects going on, and honestly, for me personally, I was so busy with a newborn, and I was just like no rush, so I would kind of check in with her occasionally, and sometimes the response, sometimes she would take like a week to get back to me, and I know she had a lot of things going on, and sometimes the artists do take, a few days or several days to a week to respond to an email, and a lot of them do get a lot of emails. So that's just something to keep in mind, and so I just know they aren't deliberately ignoring you. And one piece of advice I do have for communicating with artists, because a lot of it is done through email, is to really try to write your email professionally. Try to use good grammar, good spelling, spell check it if you need to. Be very polite. I think it helps to, if you really do, and don't say things that you don't mean, but if you do genuinely admire that artist's work, I would definitely make a comment and, say so, when you're reaching out to them, and just to say, because I look back and I'm like, wow, I feel so incredibly lucky that Andrea was willing to do these two portrait sculpts for me, and I don't know if she gets other inquiries like that, how often, and that sort of thing, but I felt so lucky that she agreed to do it. And originally I approached her thinking we would just do like a one of a kind sort of portrait baby, and she was the one who suggested doing the edition to help keep the cost lower for me. So, and I was like, sure, yeah, let's go for it. Um, so so yeah, that would just, those would just be some of my tips and tips and thoughts. And definitely, like Kelly Girl said on her one of her recent videos, be active in the doll community, not just on YouTube. Participate in doll fan, participate in Facebook, follow other social media sites like Facebook. Follow your favorite artists. A lot of them will post pictures of their work. I think it's always nice to leave a nice comment about how much you love the baby, even if you're not planning to purchase that particular baby, but to give encouragement, because they're humans just like we are, and at the end of the day. And I think all artists want to feel that, I mean, they put so much into these babies. They want to feel that their work is appreciated, that and I know we collectors probably don't say it enough, but gosh, we are so thankful that these artists have the talent to do what they do. I think Yvonne from My Little Tulip said it once in one of her videos, that just how grateful she was that these artists have the skill and the talent and just the heart to bring these babies to life and to make them as beautiful as they are. And they are just so incredibly special to us collectors. So, I think maintaining a good relationship, with artists is really important. Um, I think it gets a little bit trickier, if, somebody receives a baby that, and they have issues and it wasn't what they expected, gosh, I feel very thankful I haven't yet been in that situation. But I know that other people have gone through that, and gosh, that is a really hard thing to go through. Um, and I think it's healthy for us to have open dialogue, in the Reborn community, in the YouTube community, on the forums. But at the same time, I think we all also, need to take into account that, sometimes, some people have good experiences with certain artists and some people don't. And um, and I always just try to make my own judgment with regards to that. So yeah, so that I know can be really, really tough. But I think even if I think if I were to be in that situation where, let's say I got a baby and I didn't feel that it was what I was hoping for or expecting, I would hope that I'd feel free to, speak up and say something. And, oh, actually, I actually have a good example of this when, I was working with Emily on Indie. She had actually put like a little stork bite or something kind of right here, like right here on Indie's head, and I had forgotten. Like, this was my bad. I had forgotten to tell her, that I actually don't prefer too many stork bites and things like that, blemishes and that sort of thing. Things that actually can make the baby look very realistic, and I think there are a lot of collectors who love that. But I personally, it's not something I personally gravitate towards. So I forgot to tell her that, and she does have a lot of babies who have that, and it looks great, and a lot, and the mommies are super thrilled with it. So when she sent me the photo of it, I messaged her back. I said, oh, the baby's looking really beautiful, but and I'm so sorry I forgot to mention this to you before, but I'm actually not, personally a fan of the stork bite. So, would it be possible to maybe paint some hair over it? Because she, Emily does painted hair, and beautiful painted hair, I might add. And so she said, oh gosh, I'm so, she said, let me see what I can do. And so she, you know, went to work painting over that spot, and you can't see it. I guess if you look really closely, you could kind of see it underneath the painted layers, but it really is hidden up well now. And so yeah, so she and I had an open communication of it. I love the end result, and I think that it ended up working out great. And so if you do see something that might be fixable, before the artist sends the baby to you, I definitely would recommend, communicating about it and seeing if it's something that that can be addressed. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now on this topic. I know other people have done videos on this in the past, and I hope this was helpful to you guys. But I think my biggest kind of lessons learned are just that artists are people too, and just to know you're working with somebody who um, you know who is busy, who probably has other things going on besides just reborning. And I think a lot of artists have decided not to take customs because of the time pressure. Like, they feel, gosh, I have to have a doll done by a certain deadline. Man, that's a lot of pressure. And then, worried about making the doll and, the buyer not liking it. And so in that Bountiful Baby forum post that I was talking about earlier, they were kind of asking, well, if you don't hear from the buyer, do you guys send the buyer a note to say, hey, just want to confirm that you got the baby? And then and it was interesting, some of them were like, oh no, what if the buyer, like, maybe it's better not to ask, because you don't want the buyer to write you back and say, oh yeah, I did get the baby, but I really don't like it, could you refund me immediately, and or something to that effect. And artists, I guess, are real, they were saying that they were really afraid of buyers doing that. Yeah, and I know there could be all sorts of challenges, in the transaction. It's a complicated transaction because it's a one of a kind piece of art. There's no guarantee, especially with a custom, what that baby's going to look like when it gets to you. And I think sometimes babies look different in the photos than they do in when you get them in real life. So that can also be sometimes an issue. But yeah, there's a whole host of things that I guess could potentially go wrong. And these are very expensive purchases. This is not a $10 Walmart doll, so it's not like if you buy it and you don't like it, it's like, oh well, I was just out $10. I mean, you're usually out several $100s, at least. So it definitely is something that I know is an issue, and something that all of us think about as buyers and collectors, and I think also as artists as well. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And Clara is going to say good night, and she will see you next time.